Hi, I'm Helen and this is Why Mums Don't Jump. Busting taboos about leaks and lumps after childbirth. All the stuff that happens to your pelvic floor that no one ever talks about. Incontinence, prolapse, pelvic pain, problems that affect millions of women, 1 in 3. I'm one of them. I have a prolapse. My pelvic organs fell out of place after the birth of my second child. And if you had told me back then that I would be speaking about this stuff out loud, I would have told you to give your head a wobble. Hello, how are you bits? Welcome to the season 5 finale and something a bit different. I'm excited for this. So, a couple of years ago, I remember seeing the manager of Chelsea Women's Football Club, who was Emma Hayes, talking about pelvic health in a documentary. And I was so excited to hear that term in a conversation around women's sport that I shared it on social media because, as you'll know, when you're trying to end taboos around pelvic floor issues that have for so long been hidden and stigmatised, any hint of it going mainstream is huge because it just makes it a conversation that is possible to have for everyone else who follows. And since then, it's something that has cropped up more and more in discussions around women's sport, along with menstrual health and breast health. And don't get me wrong, we're just beginning to scratch the surface, but it's exciting, right? It feels like change is coming. So I'm delighted to be able to bring you this episode with 2 people who've been trailblazers in all of this. The German footballer Melanie Leupolz, who returned to play for Chelsea just months after giving birth to her son, and the pelvic health physio and friend of Why Mums Don't Jump, Emma Brockwell, who worked with Melanie at the club. It's a good one. Back in a sec. Why Mums Don't Jump is sponsored by iMedicare, pelvic health naturally. iMedicare provides devices or products for pelvic health that are safe and easy to use, helping you to manage your symptoms while you're on the way to recovery. Products like Lumana Activewear, fitness leggings and running shorts that have absorbent underwear built in for protection from leaks, whether that's wee or sweat or period blood or discharge. And the leggings have a phone pocket, which is music to my ears. You can find Lumana via the affiliate shop on the Why Mums Don't Jump website, where you'll also find a discount code. Thanks to the team at iMedicare. Here we go then, the final episode of season 5 with the pelvic health physiotherapist Emma Brockwell and Melanie Leupolz, former Germany international who recently left Chelsea for Real Madrid and one of only a small number of female players who have returned to top flight football after giving birth.
Yes, so there are still just a few players who came back after their pregnancy. Alex Morgan was like a role model for me. Her daughter is, I don't know, 4 or 5 years old already, but I could just see that it's possible. She did such a great job taking her child everywhere she went, and that was one of my goals as well. So coming back after pregnancy, combining my family life with having a child and being a professional football player on the highest level, that was my motivation. But at the same time, I was also super chilled throughout the pregnancy, also coming back after, because I knew even if I won't be able to play on this level again, I have a son, I'm happy, I'm okay with that. I was aware that I risk my career or playing on this level again, but that was okay for me because I always wanted to become a mom when I'm still young. I was 28, I think, so it's not super young, but still. I didn't want to wait until I have finished my career, so I decided to get pregnant. I was super happy because Chelsea was so supportive. Emma, my manager, she has a son herself and she understood, and the whole club was amazing. I'm really grateful for their help throughout the pregnancy, also coming back, introducing Emma to me. That was a game changer because I was fit after the pregnancy so quickly, and I have no problems at all, and I just also enjoyed pregnancy. I didn't have much pain because of the exercises, because of staying in contact with Emma. She had so many good advices, and the journey was just amazing.
And how did you train differently when you were pregnant versus before you were pregnant? What was the biggest sort of difference?
So when I knew I'm pregnant, I told my manager straight away because I didn't want to risk my health and the baby's health. And I played football, but not with contact. So that I don't like get hit from the ball or that my teammates can hit me. So I did some passing exercises, I did some running, everything, but we also monitored my heart rate that it doesn't get too high. Yeah, the doctor knew as well, so he was always looking, yeah, that everything is fine. And I had COVID at this point, and I
Oh
had an
no.
inflammation at the heart. And that was like an excuse why I couldn't do everything. So my teammates didn't know until you could really see that I'm pregnant. So then my manager told me, Melly, we have to tell the team now because you look pregnant. And then we told them, and everyone was so happy for me. But yeah, I still did a lot of gym work, also with heavy weights. But I think it's also important to mention that I'm not like I would say, like a woman who doesn't do that much sports, because like our levels are differently and you shouldn't do more in your pregnancy. It's more about maintaining and doing specific work. So, but because I was super fit before, I was able to do a lot of strengthening as well, but always with the advices of my trainers and doctors and everything.
Yeah, sure. And Emma, I mean, I'll ask you a bit more about your time at Chelsea in a minute, but you obviously worked with Melanie. What was your approach to getting her back to being match fit? Because as we said, it's a relatively uncommon thing to have to do. So you're sort of writing your own rules a bit, I suppose.
Yeah, I think at the moment we still are, because there's still so much we don't know and understand. We still lack a lot of research, certainly in the elite female, for the elite female athlete. But I think the thing that stood out for me the most was it has to be a team effort. So it's very amazing that I'm here talking to you about this, but there was a lot of us involved. There was Laura Bettinelli, who's the head physio, Ali Barlow. There was at the time Dr. Sean Commody. I think Mike took over during your pregnancy. Maybe Melly, did he? I can't remember,
Yes.
because Mike is now the Chelsea doctor, Mike Harrison. And then we had Georgie Bruvenel, who is an amazing applied researcher who specialises in female health, particularly the menstrual cycle. And of course, then we had all of the performance team as well. And we had a really, really, really strong voice in Emma Hayes. So when you've got all of those people working, and you're working with an athlete like Melanie, who is driven, incredibly focused, but also prepared to take our advice on board, then you can't really go wrong. But I guess ultimately the center of all of this was what Melanie wanted. We had to focus her pregnancy wants and needs on her, and then her return to play was very much really driven by what she wanted. And I think it's fair to say, Melanie, that you had some flexibility in when you returned to play, to a point, because you had such an understanding coach, manager, and team around you. She's nodding.
Yes.
I think we've got a slight delay going on, but it's fine. We're getting there. And Emma, just for normal people, non-professional athletes listening, is it the same approach to get an athlete back to full physical health after pregnancy and childbirth as it is for someone who's not? What are the basics that you're trying to get right?
The basics you have to get right are the player's healing well, or the woman is healing well, and that they are getting as much rest as possible, as well as much support from their inner family, as well as from the team. So with all of those things, it's very similar. But the difference, I guess, that you have with athletes is they exercise every day. That is, alongside their baby, a priority. Melanie had access to top nutritionists. She had access to the best doctors, to the best physios. So that's a big difference to someone like yourself or me, who might see a pelvic health physiotherapist maybe once every few months, if they're lucky. I went out to Germany, I think when Melanie was 2 weeks postpartum. And,
Wow.
I mean, you must have been bored of me at your home, but I was there for about 3 hours assessing.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah, that was so cool, wasn't it? That I could just go out, fly out, spend time with you, really, really address not just your physical needs, but make sure psychologically you were feeling well, and then report back to the team. We met every week online during her pregnancy when eventually Melanie decided to return to Germany. So the access that you have for elite athletes is insane compared to us mere mortals who perhaps see someone like myself once or twice. So it's very different. But then this is their job, and this is what's needed to get to that level of athleticism for sure.
Yeah. And Melanie, what was it like working with Emma? Like, did you even know there was such a thing as a pelvic health physiotherapist? Did you imagine that it would take that amount of effort for you to get back to where you were?
No, I wasn't really aware of that until Emma, my manager, told me that she got to know Emma and was working with her, and she was such a big help for her. So she recommended it to do some sessions with Emma, and she brought her into the club, and she was really supportive because she just knew how much value it is for me. And also that I'm healthy afterwards, not just back to playing football, but also healthy. And at the same time, Emma, my manager, she said, I just have to come back to football when I'm ready, not when I'm like, she doesn't want to tell me when I have to be back. I have to be ready mentally, physically, and that was super important that I hadn't had any pressure. I just came back to England when I was ready to play football again. And also what is super important with Emma is that we didn't lose any time, because she assessed me before my pregnancy and also after the 2 weeks when she came to Germany. And then we didn't waste time waiting until I can start running or doing exercises. That's different for non-professional women because they have a little bit more time. But for me as an athlete, like almost every day matters, because you have to get back into your training and stay fit and build some strength again. And when you not waste, but when you need more time until you return to football, then it's harder to like go back to your old level. And that's why it is a little bit of pressure, but it was absolutely fine. I didn't have any pressure from my club. So when I was ready, I told them I really want to start training hard and intensive now. And Emma assessed me again. She said, okay, she's ready, so we can start again. And that was amazing. So we didn't lose any time.
This is amazing. And Emma Hayes is such a hero, isn't she? Like, she's been such an incredible advocate for women's health, and a bit confusing because we've got two Emmas. Emma Brockwell, obviously, here, and Emma Hayes, former manager of Chelsea up until very recently, now the USA team coach. And yeah, she's been, I mean, I've seen her in the news over the past couple of years, being outspoken in a way that you rarely see, let alone in sport, criticising gynecology waiting lists, saying it's like a political choice not to invest in women's health. Every time I'm just like, oh my goodness, she's amazing.
Yeah.
So it kind of like, in that context, it doesn't surprise me that she was so cool about your whole thing. And how important, I suppose, is it for someone like yourself to come back into football to have that kind of support? I mean, I suppose it just wouldn't be possible without it, would it?
Yeah, absolutely. And Emma is always someone who wants to be the first in something and the best in something. And we had so many bad stories about pregnant footballers in Europe. So I think she also wanted to be the first club and person who supports the player from the beginning to the end. And she did, absolutely. It wasn't just like that she said she will do, but she also did. And also when my son was here, I could bring him to training, to games. He was always welcomed, also from the players. So that was also really important for me. The support after, not just financial or whatever, the facilities or whatever. It was more that he was welcome at the club, and that I had no pressure. Like when I struggled with childcare, that I was just able to bring him, and I knew everyone will be fine and will be happy. Sometimes I said I'm a little bit selfish because I didn't bring him often enough. But at the same time, I just wanted to be a footballer as well. Like when I was at training, I was concentrating on football, and I knew he's fine at home with his dad, with his nanny, or at the nursery. But I just didn't want to think about what should he eat now, do I have to change the nappies or whatever when I'm at training. And then when I went home, I was a mom 100% and just enjoyed playing with him. And yeah, discovered the world with him.
I love that.
Yeah, they really created that culture where you could thrive, didn't they?
Yes, they did.
And Emma, I mean, I can't imagine it's been standard for women's football teams to have a pelvic health specialist on the books. How did you come to be at Chelsea, and what sorts of issues were you treating? Obviously, you work with Melanie, but I presume there's other stuff that comes up as well.
Yeah, well, actually, Melanie was really the reason that I am still at Chelsea. So I think Laura Bettinelli, she touched base with me. She just contacted me and said, look, we have a pregnant player. We need some support. Would you be willing to help us? And of course, I jumped at the chance. And what that then allowed was for me to expose the whole medical team, the whole performance and coaching staff as to what a pelvic health physiotherapist is. So I gave them an education talk. And I remember Emma Hayes sitting in the talk, and obviously she'd had her little boy a few years before Melanie had hers. And she sat there and she went, oh my God, why haven't I seen a pelvic health physiotherapist? And we got talking about that. And then, I mean, it's on record that I treated Emma following her hysterectomy. And the thing is, when someone like Emma gets it, it's a game changer. It's magic. And Emma recognises that female footballers aren't male footballers, and we have to think about the female health considerations. And, you know, at Melanie's level, at this elite level, it's all about marginal gains. And Emma recognises that pelvic health, menstrual health, breast health, these could be things that are game changers for not just the player's physical and mental well-being, but also for their performance as well. So when someone like Emma gets it, then of course that's going to expose me then to the opportunity to address pelvic health within the whole team. So Laura then got me back in really after Melanie had returned to play, actually. And it's still early days, but we started screening, educating around pelvic health, treating the players that want to be treated. You know, it's not something they're forced to do, because, as you know, pelvic health is quite an intimate, still a taboo, still an embarrassing topic, especially amongst women who haven't had babies. You know, it's easier for us. We've had children. We can potentially appreciate why our pelvic floors have potentially been compromised. But when you're an elite athlete and you're leaking urine, for example, you might be thinking, my God, what on earth is this? Or in the changing room, if there's 5 or 6 of you leaking urine, perhaps that becomes the norm. And when you normalize something, you don't address it. And because, as we know, lots of pelvic floor issues don't cause pain, they're just not nice and they're embarrassing and uncomfortable. Lots of women, as we know, will just not admit that they're having those issues. And also, as an athlete, you don't realise that potentially the impact that pelvic health has on the rest of your system is huge. So it really is Melanie and my involvement that's allowed that exposure to pelvic health within Chelsea. And then it's like a domino effect. Now more and more teams are interested, and now the FA has really passed regulations that pelvic health, menstrual health, breast health should be educated among or discussed amongst all teams from grassroots up, which is amazing. But we're really just scratching the surface at the moment, as you know. But it's really exciting, and it's really down to athletes like Melanie. So you, Melanie, you are one of my heroes.
You're all trailblazers, aren't you? Like, totally changing the landscape. And Melanie, you're at Real Madrid now. You don't have to reveal if you don't want to, but can I ask, like, is pelvic health or women's health more generally, is that part of the conversation there? Are you seeing that?
No, not really.
So much.
Also, I don't know many clubs that speak about pelvic floor or the menstrual cycle or stuff like that. So it's just beginning. And also there, Chelsea was one of the first. And I hope that we talk about it even more because it is so important, not just when you get pregnant, also just for like women or also men, I think. So it's important to speak about it. But I think also in Spain, I wasn't there yet, but I think it's not a big topic there.
And how did it go down in the changing rooms when you talked about it in Chelsea, like behind the scenes? Were people's mind being blown by the idea of how important it was, or were they quite accepting of it?
I think because you don't know many about it, I think many were like, oh, I don't need that, or I don't want to talk about it. But when you have positive examples like me, and when I tell my story, how much it helped me, I think they're happy to try, and then you have to feel the impact that it does. So yeah, I think also throughout the pregnancy, I was so fit, and it wasn't intense to train the pelvic floor. It was more, for me, it was more important to get to know how to release it, because we as
Yeah.
athletes, I think we are most of them are super strong, and it's more important that we learn to how release it with our breathing and combining it with strengthening work. And yeah, it was super amazing, and I'm still doing the exercises because I feel much stronger in my whole core and healthier. And yeah, so everyone should be open-minded about the topic and just try it, and they will see how much it helps.
Yeah, and again, like the more Melanies we have, the more times this happens, the more these conversations are had, the more people see. I mean, apart from anything else, Chelsea won like 5 consecutive Women's Super League championships while all this was going on, didn't they, Melanie? So it wasn't, you can really fly that flag and say we did this and we still absolutely nailed it out on the pitch. And I wonder, like, if we look at women's sport more widely, like I'm hearing conversations more and more about women's health, about pelvic health coming up more and more. Melanie, do you feel like things are changing for the better? Do you think it's a conversation that's more acceptable to have?
Yes, absolutely. But I think that's also related to the education we have now, and that it's quite normal to speak about things like that. Also to speak about psychology, because our stress levels are always so high, or the pressure we have. And I think in the past everyone was scared to talk about depressions or stuff like that. And I think now we are, yeah, more open-minded for everything, and also about talking about pelvic floor even more.
Yeah. And what about you, Emma? Have you seen, I mean, you must have seen changes. I know you were over in Australia doing something relating to all this recently, weren't you?
Yeah, so I work as a female health expert for FIFA, and FIFA are now creating a education platform for all girls and women to access, as well as coaches, managers, physios, anyone that wants to access this information. It will be free to access, and that is incredibly exciting. And essentially, they treated us to a trip to Australia to go and see the final for the World Cup last year, the Women's World Cup, and it was insane. It was amazing.
Wow.
These things don't happen in physio world, but it was amazing. But really, the ultimate thing is that this is for everyone, so that it's not just the likes of the real sort of 1% like Melanie to access. It's for every girl and woman to access, so that they can better their general physical and mental health.
Yeah.
But the one thing I was going to just say that Melanie hasn't mentioned is that she made it back postpartum and played in the World Cup as well for her country. So she didn't just, win the WSL with Chelsea. She also played for Germany, which I think I
Wow.
remember having a conversation with you at 2 weeks postpartum. And do you remember, Melanie? You said, I've got to get back and play for Chelsea. I probably won't make it to the World Cup, but that's okay. I'm okay with that. And then, lo and behold, you did. I mean, it's crazy what you've achieved. I think you underplay it, because it's really quite remarkable.
Yeah, but that is what I meant with that. I like didn't put pressure on myself.
Yeah,
It was a goal, but I was still relaxed, and I think that helps as well. Like if you listen to your body. At the same time, I didn't want to waste time, but I didn't like force it too much, and I think it was just perfect. And yeah, it was a really proud moment to represent my country again. And after the World Cup, I retired just to have more time with my son, focusing on club football, because it is exhausting having a child and playing like Champions League in the WSL and everything. And I have so high expectations on myself. So yeah, and I also want to enjoy football. And when I played for the national team for Chelsea and had my son, it was just too much for me. I was able to do everything, which is still crazy what the women like the body can be able to do, but I didn't enjoy it that much, so I decided to retire from national team, focusing on my son on club level. And yeah, I'm super happy since then, because I still have time to recover during the international breaks, and then giving everything at the club again. So yeah, that is also something where I have to be honest to myself that sometimes it is too much, and yeah, I needed some breaks. And yeah, now I just enjoy my life. It's amazing to do both.
Melanie, you are so wise and so inspiring, because I think so. I've got a daughter, I think similar age to Emma's, and it's so amazing for them to hear people at your levels speaking openly about this kind of stuff. Same with Emma Hayes. And it just makes it so much easier for them growing up through PE and sports and changing rooms to be able to have those honest conversations with their friends and things.
Yeah.
I think it's just, like I said, it is super important to speak about topics like that and to share my experience, because like you said, there are small girls who become women at one point, and then they see that they are not alone with their thoughts, if they're scared about something. So there are always people who feel the same, who do the same, and it's important to talk about it. And that's why I'm here. So I just want to share my experience and yeah, help other women to do the same. Yeah, there's this quote. It says, you can just be what you see. So I want to show people what's possible, and then they can decide if they want to have the same way or pathway, and if it's something for them, is it right for them or not, and then you have to take the decision. But I just want to share my experience.
So that feels like a good place to end the episode and the season. Please keep in mind that, as ever, none of this is intended as medical advice. Please seek out your own professional help. But do get in touch. Let me know what you think. Thank you for listening to season 5. And if you've enjoyed the podcast, please take a couple of minutes to review it or share it with a friend. It all really helps others to find it. I'm taking a break, but don't forget there's a book and an audio book if you need something else to listen to. And do sign up for emails through my website so I can keep you posted on future developments. You've been listening to Why Mums Don't Jump with me, Helen Ledwick. You can find me on socials at whymumsdon'tjump or online at whymumsdon'tjump.com. Bye for now. Season 5 of Why Mums Don't Jump is brought to you by iMedicare, pelvic health naturally. The team at iMedicare are passionate about improving quality of life for patients with pelvic health problems, and they supply products that are safe and easy to use as part of your rehab journey. Products like the Ephemia Bladder Support, a reusable vaginal pessary for stress incontinence, helping you to stay active without worrying about leaks. Made from a soft and flexible silicone, Ephemia is widely available on NHS prescription, as well as through the affiliate shop on the Why Mums Don't Jump website, where you'll also find a discount code. Check it out.